artist. Today I'm going to talk to you about some collage. Collage is a type of art that you take pieces of things and put them together on a background, and that's called a collage. Now, collage can be made with photographs, ribbon, paper, fabric, string, all types of things. But today we're going to talk about paper collage. I'm going to show you some paper collage tips. So here's the tools we're going to be working with. We've got some scissors, we've got a glue stick, and we have some liquid glue. And then of course we also have some paper. So scissors, we know that your thumb goes in the small hole and your fingers go in the big hole. And you should always cut away from you. Glue sticks, the top pops off, and the sticky part is right there. Liquid glue is a little bit trickier because there's a few more steps. So in liquid glue, you want to make sure you don't twist here. You only twist at the orange part. So I'm going to twist at the orange part to open it up. And then when I use this glue, I'm only going to use a dot at a time. Just a dot is all you need. And sometimes we say dot, dot, not a lot. So just a dot. And then when you're done, you're going to twist it back down to close it. So let's talk about some paper techniques. I've got some paper here, and I have a blue background I'm going to be working with. First, I want to show you a technique that's really easy to make a circle. So if you have a square and you want to make a circle, if you trim the edges off, I should say the corners, sorry. If you trim the corners off, it's really easy to make a nice circle if you have a square piece of paper. Let me show you another technique that's kind of fun. And sometimes I call this technique cutouts. So what you do if you have a piece of paper, let's say I can use this circle again, and I fold it in half. Now, if I cut on this paper, I'm going to cut onto both sides. So I'm going to cut a half a circle this time. And now I have two shapes to work with. Pretty cool. Let me show you something else. Another fun thing to do is to tear paper, actually. Tearing paper can be really fun. So if you want to tear some paper, let's say I want to make some fire or something like that. That would be kind of a fun thing to make with teared paper. If I have a piece of paper and I just need a little bit, I'm going to make sure that I want to just take from the side. I don't need to take from the middle because then we can use the rest of this paper, right? So if I'm going to tear some, it's good to use your pincher fingers and just tear a little bit at a time. And you see how you get that nice texture edge? That's really nice. So this would be a really cool, nice piece if I was going to make some fire. I could do a piece of orange behind that or red behind that and make fire. That would be pretty neat. So we've talked about cutouts and tearing. Now let's talk a little bit about overlapping because that's a really fun thing to do as well. So let's see, I've got a square here, and let me make another couple of squares. So once again, I've got this nice big piece of paper. If I need a square, I'm not going to cut out in the middle because then it might be hard to use that paper again. I can just cut from the side. So I'm going to cut from the side and make a couple other squares. And it's okay, especially in collage, if it's not perfect. Don't worry about it. So let's talk about overlapping. So overlapping is when one piece of paper is placed slightly on top of another piece of paper. So I've got three squares here that are pretty nice, but they might be a little more interesting if I overlap them. they might create a little bit more of an interesting picture. Once I start overlapping my pieces, it kind of becomes a little bit more interesting, and you have a little bit more space on your paper too. Another fun thing to do is to do repeated shapes on a background. So if I cut out many circles and glued them together next to each other, that is a really nice look as well. And let's see, if I was trying to cut out many circles, do you think I could cut out a couple at a time? I think I could. Let's see. I'm going to cut a couple of squares out, just like we talked about. And then I'm gonna put them on top of each other and cut a circle. Oh my goodness, I'm cutting 2 at once. So much fun. Perfect, so now I have 2. So if you repeat shapes, that also makes a really interesting looking picture. Now, let's talk about scrap paper. The paper that's this big, right? As big as your hand still, we can reuse that. Once it starts to get really small like this paper we're just gonna put in the scrap trash. We can't really reuse that. So if you get them really small, we're gonna put those in the trash. But if you have paper that's really big, we can put that back in the scrap box. So I'm going to talk about now what I'm gonna make. I think I'm gonna make a flower scene. I think that's what I'm feeling today. So I'm gonna make a flower scene, and oh, we need to talk about the gluing. We talked about cutting, let's talk about gluing. I'm gonna go ahead and glue a couple of these circles down here so we can see what I mean about gluing. So remember, we're gonna twist open the top, and I'm gonna put just, I think I put 2 dots for this one. Dot, dot, not a lot. Place it down where you want it. I think I'm gonna put him right there. All right. And then let's use the glue stick for the other one. So sometimes you can hold down your piece and then put the glue stick on like this. But sometimes what I like to do is take the piece and put it on top of the glue stick, and I kind of move it around. This makes it a little neater, then the glue doesn't get everywhere, but the glue's on just the back of my piece. And push it down. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and finish my artwork. I can't wait to see what you guys create.